Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Making of podcast. I'm your co host, Ashley Hovez. And before I get started, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you for listening, for supporting, for watching our YouTube channel, for listening on the pod, for being a part of our tribe. And most recently, if you've been following our story on Instagram, Brian got to ring the bell, and I've had so many messages from you guys. And we have just felt so supported beyond the dental. The dental is why I started this community, but it has definitely transformed into something so much bigger and so much more beautiful than I could have imagined. And I really do, from just the depths of my soul. And I just want to give you guys all big hugs because this has been the hardest time of our lives. And if we needed community, it was now. And you guys have really showed up for us. So just thank you from the Hovis fam. And I will stop there before I get emotional. But I'm really excited. I have my dear friend, Josh Scott from Studio 88. He's going to be joining me, and Dr. Rich Constantine. I mean, you guys are listening to the making of Evelina Smiles. I was like, why not bring my two awesome guy friends just to talk about what it takes to build the brand, all the behind the scenes stuff that is involved with this process. And without further ado, hi, Josh. How's it going?
Hey Ashley, good, good. Anytime you're showing up on my calendar for the week, it's a good week. I've been looking forward to Friday all week. And thank you. I know posting probably through this time is hard, but I don't know. For mine, like I'm not the guy that checks in all the time on text, but man, Brian has been top of mind like ever since this happens. And there's nights where I'm like, I wonder how he's doing, you know? And so when you do post, it's like just able to track with that journey, and it just helps. I don't know, all of us, it allows us to care and kind of stay connected to you. So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Like, truly, you and Joanna have been our extended family, not just not just our marketers, but you guys have definitely become more than friends to us. And you were the first ones to find out as soon as I found the lesion on Brian. So it was crazy. And I'm going to admit, Rich Constantine, he's joining. He texted that he was going to be a few minutes behind. I wonder if he's going to let us talk about what his morning has been like. Hey,
We
Rich.
should ask.
Hey, who's this guy?
Hey,
Hey,
man.
What's up?
just so you know, I already hit record
Okay.
because I just wanted to chat on record, but I know that you texted that you had quite the morning. And if you don't want to talk about it, I will have
No, I'll
Colin.
talk about it.
Okay,
I,
perfect. I love it. I love when you spill the tea.
I
So,
need to talk it out
let's
anyway.
talk about this.
He
This is the
needs the
perfect
process
segue.
right now.
You need the process. So, all of this stuff, you guys, is behind the scenes happening in real time. And you are going to hit roadblocks. And we were supposed to record at 10 o'clock. It is now 10:13. And Rich sent me a text and he's like, it's been a morning. So, hi, Rich. How's your
Hey,
morning been?
it's been eventful. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
This morning was a weekly scheduled site visit. With new construction, you always have some surprises. And when you get to the end and you have the little things that are coming together that were once only on paper, you see it coming together. And if it's coming together and it's not coming together how you envisioned it because you don't understand part of the process, and you start to notice things, and then you bring it to somebody's attention, and then it unravels, and there's finger pointing and whatnot. Luckily, the people that I'm working with are very professional. However, when you have architects involved, interior designers involved, builders involved, installers involved, they all think a different way. And sometimes what's designed on a computer, on paper, isn't always realistic when it comes to reality. And that's what we realized today with our flooring. So we're using luxury vinyl plank flooring, really nice stuff, but there's different grades of it. And some of it can be cut rather easily, some of it cannot. And in my previous office, the space was really tight. So we created some visual elements on the flooring by creating like these chevron pattern squares within the hallway to kind of break it up. And that was our intention with this building too, because we had these really long hallways and we just wanted to dress it up a little bit. Well, what was designed on the computer program was really hard to achieve in the field. So we had to come up with an alternate solution this morning. And I don't know if it's going to work out, but it's one of those things where you're getting ready to, you have deadlines now because you've committed to a start date. And if things can't be ordered or if stuff has to be redone, then you're looking at pushing the timeline. And if you've already told people when their start date is as far as employment and you're getting ready to, roll out an email for when you're going to schedule patients, there's only so much you can do. So it gets to be a little frustrating.
Oh man. So do you know about how far back this is going to push your time frame? Not yet.
It depends. I'm waiting on a solution. We're getting to that point where it's almost summer. People are taking vacations or they're out. And that's what we ran into with the flooring company today. Some of the important decision makers were out. So I don't know. If worst comes to worst, we're just not going to put a design pattern. It's just going to be, everything's going to be straight. But that's kind of how it goes,
I was gonna say
unfortunately.
there's probably an easy option, which but it's not actually what you want, but it keeps you on
Yeah.
your time frame. But to get what you want might actually delay everything.
Yeah, it's one of those bummers where like you wanted to do it and it costs a little bit more. It's going to be cheaper to do it the simpler way, but when you're already spending this much on a project,
Yeah.
you want it to feel special, and you want everything to look new and buttoned up and polished, like a brand new shiny penny when you walk in there and have it just as you envision. Sometimes just that's not the case. But I feel confident that the people that I'm working with will get it to where it needs to be. But yeah, it's tough when the vision doesn't come together.
It really is. And this actually reminds me like, so when I had my walkthrough, I had my architect, my contractor, and my flooring guy tell me that they could not do herringbone with the LVP that was chosen. And it became it's, I feel like I'm living a deja vu right now. My flooring guy said, this is not possible, not with the size planks that you ended up choosing. And then my architect was saying, actually, it is very possible. We've done it in multiple offices. So there was a lot of pushback. And it was absolutely possible that we didn't have to change the flooring. He just needed to do a little bit extra elbow grease,
Yeah.
which, but yeah, it was possible. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was funny because I knew one of the worker guys. He was like, it would look really good in your hallway instead of doing this chevron pattern. I was like, what? He goes, just let's just lay down some carpet. And I knew he was joking, but I knew why he was saying this because it's so much easier.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
lay down some carpet. I
Oh
love
my
it.
gosh.
Oh, geez. Well, so we hear that your morning has not been so good. What about other things? Are they progressing as planned besides the flooring?
Yeah, everything's else progressing. My lot's a lot bigger than the first time, so I have to put a lot more landscape in. It's funny because you move dirt, you place dirt, you dig it back up, you make a mess, you clean it up, you make a mess again. That's just kind of how it goes as different crews come in. So they were laying all the irrigation today so that they can put landscape in next week. And that's one of the biggest phases I'm excited for because it just cleans everything up around the site.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have our equipment being delivered, most of our dental equipment being delivered next week. So that's exciting too. I can't conceptualize sometimes with the order that things are done because I know the subcontractors can only get in when they can get in,
Right.
depending on their schedules. But when everything's just all dusty and messy, and then you're moving brand new stuff in, I cringe a little bit
Oh, yeah.
because I know how expensive
How
it is and
expensive. Yeah.
how neat and tidy I want everything to be, and you know,
Yep.
you can't have it both ways. You can either have it drag out forever or you can have it done, get in it, and then clean it up.
Well, oh my gosh, your office is rolling fast now. This is so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
I know we jumped right into the story or part of your story of your morning, but we have to go back and we have to do a this or that. We're going to do a quick
Yeah. Let's
fire,
do
guys.
it.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
then this time I'm going to have you guys answer simultaneously. So you
Oh,
can't think about your responses. Okay. Ready?
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Working from home or in an office?
In,
Home.
in an office.
You have to be.
I mean, so in parentheses, Colin put for the docs, it would be doing admin things.
Okay.
Would you
I
still?
like, yeah, I like to leave work at work.
Okay.
Mm,
And spicy food or mild?
Spicy.
spicy.
All right. Live music or studio recording?
Mm.
Oh man.
They both have their place, but I mean, if I could only, if like this weekend you were like, you can listen to a studio album or go to a live concert, I'm gonna probably go to a live concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the experience, live
Yeah.
concert.
Live concert.
You
Okay.
know, I always have something to say there, but it's okay.
What are you going to say, Rich? I need to hear.
You know, there's just certain songs, especially if it's a surprise, if it comes in on your playlist in the car, that it
Hmm.
just makes you feel a certain way
Yeah.
that then at the concert, like you can't hit the next button.
Yep.
That's true. That's true. And sometimes at concerts, they do way too much ad lib and riffs. I'm like, can you
Yeah,
just go back to what I loved about it in the first place? Like, you don't even
yeah,
recognize the song sometimes.
yeah.
Okay. I would also choose working from home. And I still want to be a dentist working from home. So I got to figure that out. I'm waiting for the first robot. Yeah. Okay. Okay,
Oh
I
man.
do have a this or that, and it's not on the list. Cuddler or completely separate ends of the bed with your significant others?
Opposite ends of the bed.
Opposite?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to do the cuddle thing on a couch than in the bed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
that everyone needs their space.
Yeah,
So
Joanna and I at this stage in our life, it's like we've got our routines and like if you mess with it too much, you don't sleep good. So you're just
yeah,
like, the eye
yes.
Yeah.
mask and the white
Oh
noise
yeah.
and the cooling, pad, and you're just like I get right on the edge and we're just out.
That is exactly like Brian and me. We're like in different continents on our bed. Like
Yeah.
it's really nice. I enjoy spicy food, but it can't be too spicy. And I do love a concert, but yeah, singing in your car by yourself and full capacity, that's also very therapeutic. So that's a hard
Yes.
one. It really
Yep,
is.
it is.
Okay, this or that is done. So let's just talk about how the three of us connected. Josh, do you want to bring up the story of how you two connected, maybe?
Yeah, Rich and I, gosh, we were it was an event, man. Was it a Smiles at Sea or it was something years ago, ran into you and we just started talking. I think at the event, but we started talking more and more at the airport and just got to know him and Trish really well and did kind of a nonprofit project for them. Came down, visited him. Dude, we were there. That was July of 2020. We were down in Greenville. Like, the picture still with the mask. I remember I had team members on that trip that were really like nervous about going and out in the public, and so that was the
We
time.
kind of we had a different set of rules down in here in South Carolina compared
Yes,
to
you do.
Ohio.
Yes, you do. Yeah, we went out in some public places, I think for lunch. It was that place with all the containers, and we went.
Yeah,
And one of my team
yeah.
members was like walking in, like, and he kind of pulled me aside. He goes, "I don't know that I'm comfortable with this." I was like, "That's fine. Put your mask on, go down the street and find something." But yeah, that was a time for sure.
Wait, so was South Carolina a state that it was like COVID didn't really exist, like Florida?
No, it existed, and we did
Okay,
shut down the office, but I would say that there was a little bit more leniency as far as yeah, the 6 feet and the masking and all that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, the fact that Smiles at Sea wasn't canceled in July of 2020
Oh,
is
that was like a year
No, that
before,
yeah, that was a year
two
oh,
before. Yeah,
before.
okay.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, they are
no,
No.
pushing it. Okay.
no, yes, yes.
So you guys have known each other for that long and you just kept in touch throughout the years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. And then Josh had sent me a message and he said, hey, I don't know if you know Dr. Rich Constantine, but we connected and he is building another startup. I think he would be a fantastic guest or even, something to document. And then he sent me Rich's email. And then I was like, oh, for sure. I remember in my feelings. And then I messaged Rich right away. I'm like, hey, like Josh totally thought we would be a good like match. Would you want to do something like this? And then I think we hopped on a call like pretty soon thereafter, and you were in a car and it was like nighttime. I think
Yeah.
we're driving from the site. I don't even.
Yeah. I was on my way home and I had to pull over in the Starbucks and I talked to you and Colin.
Yeah. And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
Oh man. So now the three of us are together and we want to bring you guys into an even more in-depth look at the branding of the making of Evelina Smiles. And I don't know who wants to start with just where this process started for this office and like what month that was and where we're at now.
yeah. Rich, I think what was
Yeah.
interesting to me was you've done this once before, and I know you guys have talked about this on the podcast, but you're like a second time startuppreneur, here doing it
Yeah.
again. And so just like I think what's so interesting is your perspective and some of the things you've learned. And even on the branding side, I know the first practice you had named after yourself, Constantine Dental. And I think this time it was a more of a deliberate kind of strategy to not go that route and to go something that was a little bit more evergreen. So I don't know. You guys may have talked about that, but I thought I'd just kind of start there with just kind of what you've learned and how you went into naming and the branding this time.
Yeah, I still wanted to have a personal connection to it just because it's meaningful to, I think, have some type of tie when you're naming your business. But I also wanted it to be something that wasn't specific to me because I've realized over the years that I think anybody that owns a business that wants to grow it, you have to eventually come to the realization that if your business doesn't run without you, you own a job. You don't own a business. And that was our intent with the size of this office, was that we wanted to bring on many more providers and potentially those providers become partners one day. And without having to do a rebrand or a name change, what is something that we can call this that we can all get behind and it has meaning to it, but it's not necessarily overly personal to any one person in the office. And I just felt like that was a good route to go.
Yeah. What I love is that you took a name, obviously it's your grandmother's name, right? Evelina.
Yeah.
But even our team, just I know working, not just going, hey, it's Evelina Smiles, but like there's a story there that is being worked even into the site. And I think that's what I love about it too, was it's not just a name for sake of a name. Sometimes we're just trying to check a box. Like, do I have a name? Check. Do I have a logo? Check, and you move on.
Yeah.
But actually, like starting with a foundation of you can tell a story around this that can get integrated throughout the entire practice, marketing, all that. Tell me a little bit about that and even kind of what that story is that you guys are weaving through.
Yeah. My grandma was someone that she would always say, don't work too hard. She was always the one that, my grandfather owned a big commercial farm in Pennsylvania. She was the one that basically gathered everybody together, prepared the meals, told the stories. My grandfather was very nice, but a lot more serious, just because he probably like me just didn't talk when he had a lot on his mind. And my grandma was just really my relationship with my grandma. I'm sure my dad and my aunts and stuff, everybody has their own memories of my grandma, but for me, it was just always like she was silly, she was funny, really loose, never took anything too seriously, and that was just something I always loved about her. She was also my last living grandparent, so I always used to tease her. I was like, she would say, all my old friends, they're passing away. I was like, that's because you won, Grandma. It's because you won. But she passed away in 99.
Wow.
Even when she was a little bit not feeling great towards the end, she was always happy to have company and sit down and, eat and, have a good conversation. And I just love that about her, that she never seemed like she was, at least around me, she never seemed irritated. She never seemed stressed. And that's definitely a lesson I try to take from her. And then I also wanted to involve my other grandma, who was really special to me too, Jane. There'll be a little section in the waiting room called Jane's Coffee Bar or Jane's Cafe, just because sitting down and having coffee with people was just something that she always loved to do. And so I wanted to honor them both. Just so happened that Evelina was just a little bit more unique as far as marketing goes. So
Yeah. When I love like there was I think it's a line on the about page, but it says like it takes us back to a time when we knew what was most important, the people we shared our lives with. And so I love that you're even pulling that into the practice and just trying to create that personal relational connection with people like from the start.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think the anyone I've ever done business with, if there's a connection personally, it always goes so much better when you have trust walking in. There's something to be said of not ha about not having that uneasiness around somebody when you trust them to take care of you.
Yeah.
Hey, Rich, can you walk us through what the onboarding process was like to work with Studio 88? Did you get sent a branding questionnaire?
Yeah, when we, I'm not the best at filling those things out because I always feel like I either don't have enough to say or I have too much to say. And then when I send it in, I'm like, man, I should have said this or that. I know, imagine that, this or that. I can't even do this or that. But yeah, they have the process dialed in really well. But at the same time, before I did any of that, I called Josh and he talked about it with me, just because even though I think something's a good idea, sometimes I don't always know, and I like to run things by people just to get their opinions. I don't always like what I hear, but I still like to know if what I'm doing is a good idea, and he was super supportive of it.
Yeah. See, tell me a little bit about, and I have not even asked you this question. You and I have not even talked, but that branding process with our team and actually like seeing first round of logos and iterations and all the way to the final, like how did that go? Give me just your thought process on that.
Yeah, it's funny. They were really good at working with me because I was completely wowed at the first iteration of the logo and the font that they chose for Evelina. For those of you out there that haven't seen it, it's the logo's a sunflower. And initially, the sunflower was a little bit more abstract, and I knew that I wanted the logo to be able to be reproduced in different types of mediums. So, like whether it was something that was milled out of metal or like hard plastic or printed. I just wanted it to be easy because I know sometimes if you get too intricate, there's a lot of machines that they can't cut it or the material just won't cut it as fine. So we went a little bit away from the modernness of the original sunflower and just added some more standard detail to it to still keep the look and make it look elegant, but it just didn't have some of the more abstract patterns within it. And they worked with me really well on that. And then I was going back and forth with the font and everything. And the funny thing is about it is after several iterations, which they were happy to humor me on, we went back to the first one.
Um, and sometimes that's just how it goes, man. You gotta just like you gotta get in it and live with it for a bit and mess around with it.
Yeah.
But good for you because logos, that's the part a lot of people don't get sometimes is you can put a symbol up there, but we call it small format, large format, and then like alternate formats. Like that thing has to work on a small format like a chapstick, right? And so if you print that and it gets lost, that's no good. It's got to be able to work like does it work on a billboard? You know, if you put it up there, a large format, but then even like embroidering it in scrubs, etching it on a piece of metal or wood, you got to think through all that. And that's why like really good logos, it's not just an icon. There's a versatility, there's a application usage to it.
Yeah. And also with the colors and everything, I wanted it to be real clean. And with the sunflower, no-brainer to go with yellow, but I just wanted everything else to be black and white and simple. And I just feel like everything came out. The shade of yellow is perfect. It's not too Crayola bright yellow or like construction yellow. It's just a really nice shade of yellow. And that's another thing that I hate when it happens. And I remember when I went to college at OU, our colors were green and white basically, but depending on whether I remember when we switched from when I first got there, we were Champion, and then we went to Adidas, and then I think we were Nike when I left. Is just the greens, like of all the gear that I got, they weren't all the same. And I hated that because you just want, when you spend so much time on a brand, you just want it to carry through so well on everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it turned out really well. I didn't think of it at the time, but I like that, my office is all Pittsburgh colors too.
Come on, man. It's still the fact that you went to OU and you're not a Buckeye fan. I'm just gonna be honest. It's that gets me, right? Because you're not a big OSU fan.
I'm a anybody but OSU fan,
Yeah.
man.
See,
I still don't get it. First of all, I grew up in
what's not to
Pennsylvania.
get? To get.
First of all, I grew up in Pennsylvania. So I grew up a Penn State fan. All right.
Okay, okay. That's
And
fair.
then and then I go to OU and I never understood why people with no affiliation to a school, like
Because
you're
they're
going to
winners.
OU, you're going to Ohio University. We're the Bobcats. Why why
Why are you
why
still a
are the
Buckeye?
Buckeyes still so important to you?
Yeah.
Like I tell Trish this all the time. I was like, I'm dead set on this. Within the next 5 years, she is going to get a degree of some sort from Ohio State University. Why? Because she is so passionate about Ohio State football, and it makes no sense to me. At least it can wrap my head around it if you have some type of degree from there. But right now, I don't get it.
Oh
I don't
man,
get
it's a
it.
source of conflict for you guys. I know that.
It's only because your pro teams are so bad.
That is, dude, that's actually very fair. We have to have a winner somewhere for sure.
Oh my gosh. Wait, is Trish from Ohio?
Yeah, she's from Ohio.
Um,
Yeah.
I am also from Ohio.
What
Well,
part?
I grew up, well, I was born just outside of Columbus. So my entire
Okay.
family, they're all Buckeye fans.
Well, of
yeah.
Yeah.
course. You
Yeah.
gotta be.
You gotta be. Oh man. But with Josh bringing that up, your whole demeanor changed, by the way. You're so laid back. And then
Oh,
I
all of a
know.
sudden,
it
like,
fires me
no.
up. It
Yeah.
fires me
I
up.
know a couple of his buttons for sure.
Yeah. And for somebody that you know, coming out of high school, it's a big deal to get a Division I football scholarship, even if it's
Yeah.
a smaller Division I school. And here I am going to Ohio University in the MAC conference, but people that don't follow football, they just automatically think that you mean Ohio State. And yeah, if I got a scholarship to go to Ohio State, I probably would have gone, but I didn't. So I went to Ohio University and I still had a great experience. I got my education paid for, and I still had
Yeah.
to explain to people that no, I'm not a Buckeye, I'm a Bobcat. And I think that's part of the irritation too. Like I could have gone to Bowling Green, nobody would have said, "Oh, the Buckeyes know Bowling Green,"
That's very true.
but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Wait, what position did you play?
I played linebacker.
Uh, at your heaviest, what was your weight?
My heaviest was not when I was playing.
Oh,
Heaviest was after I turned 40. I think I got up to like 255,
Eh,
260.
How
Yeah.
tall are you?
jeez.
6'1" in that range.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm 6'2", and yeah, yeah. I hit 248 at my heaviest at 6'2".
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big for
Um,
sure. I mean, it's a lot of weight.
that's
Yeah.
a lot of weight. That's so funny. Okay, let's bringing it back to working with Studio 88. So, Josh, how do you pair your client with a team? Because you guys have grown really fast. Is it random, luck of the draw? How did Rich get paired with whoever took on his case?
Yeah, a couple things. We've gotten way more sophisticated with it over the years. We actually have a little bit of a matching process internally. So Rich ended up, Randy was your creative strategist, right?
Mhm.
And here's what people think is they're going to listen to this and go, okay, like Rich has this high profile project, so we're going to put our best people on it. It's yes, but Randy's also the newest creative strategist on our team. He's been with us for a year, But it was a couple things like I just think he's really good, and Randy's a calm, like right here kind of dude. And I just thought Rich and him would really connect well on the creative side. On the marketing side, he's got Jana, who's just kind of one of our go-getters and doesn't mess around and kind of gets right to the point. And so I think with the data side, in my mind, I knew that actually I had zero to do with this decision. I'm just the team, the way they process this. I thought Rich would not want to, when it comes to data and analytics, like he doesn't want to mess around. It's like, is it working? Show it to me. Let's make these updates. And so we felt like that was a good fit on that side as well. But we do that kind of internally based on some questions from the client and what we know about them.
Awesome. And then does the Studio 88 team do all of the marketing, like the social media, the Google ads, all of I don't
Yeah,
even
social Google ads and search engine optimization strategy. So those are built into the package. Some of those start before the site launches. We can definitely get started on some things. Some of them launch after. And Rich, actually, this might be something to talk about because I know I think you originally were in one package that was a little bit more aggressive with ads, and then
Yeah.
you kind of stepped it back. But tell me why that decision happened. Or
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's a lot of what people don't understand when they start their marketing. You just automatically think, well, the more I throw at it, the better it's going to be because if more money potentially equals more leads, then well, yeah, all day long I want more leads. But if you don't have the team in place to handle those leads, to be able to coach the conversations that need to be had to funnel those people into the type of treatment that you're trying to get them to commit to, um, or to be able to just handle the volume as far as scheduling goes, that's all money that you're wasting because I've seen that happen, or it's happened to me with some implant marketing that we've done in the past where we just
yeah,
spend all this money and then these phone calls start coming in. But if these patients aren't vetted or they're not provided some type of information or some place to go with the information, and they're calling and they're having all these questions that they need answered with people in your office who are on the phones. Well, if those people are on the phones, guess what? Those phones are now not taking new patient calls from just people that want to come in and have you care for their teeth for other reasons. And so
mhm,
now you have all these team members on phones all the time. They're stressed out. You're stressed out because you don't understand why we're not converting patients. And the truth is you just, if you don't have the systems in place to handle the leads from the marketing that you're doing, it's all for nothing. And
yeah,
so with a startup, there's automatically some interest. There's a new building going up in an area that's developing. So that's exciting. There's some natural marketing going on just by being in network and doing some social media posting. And
yeah,
so that alone can sometimes cause patients to either want to switch from where they're going to, or they get excited that now they have a place to go that's in network with their insurance. So we felt like it was important to see, what are these first couple weeks going to look like, let
yeah,
alone first several months. So let's see how this goes. We can always add more to our marketing budget just as much as we can take it away, but let's make this a good experience for not only the team, but let's make it a good experience for these first several hundred patients that come in the door. And, let's dial it in. Let's take it easy. Let's refine the process. Slow is steady and steady is fast. So that's how we look at it. And that's the approach that we're taking. So that's why we dialed it back from I think what was it, the market leader to the
yeah. The performance
performance.
package.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that and I think you've got a really, actually, really high marketing IQ when it comes to this stuff. But I see over and over again, like let's say you're putting $1,000 into Google Ads in a month. The majority of practices I run into, they're missing about 30 to 35% of phone calls. Mango puts that national average, the average dental practice at 34%. They miss, they go to voicemail.
Yeah.
So that $1,000 now plays like 650 bucks, right? You're not getting that full $1,000. And then I've been in practices where I'm like, we start looking at the pre-appoint rate for those new patients, and it's like 65%. And so you're like, okay, now that $650 is actually playing like about 350, 375. And then we start to make statements of, well, the marketing's not working. And it's like, well, hold on for a second. Is the infrastructure there? I started working with a big surgical practice here in the last year, and ramped up some like full arch big cases, and ramped up, just went into the market with 10,000 a month in Google, which is not a lot for a practice like that. Like the clear choices and stuff, they're dumping in 25, 30 grand a month. But it was like, let's get into this and see what it does. And it was the first couple months, it was interesting, man, because they weren't converting a whole lot more, but they had so many contacts that weren't followed up with. They had no shows on appointments or consultations. And the marketing actually created a sales problem because it was like now all this volume is coming into the practice and it overwhelmed the team. And so part of it is I'm like, let's experiment with that with 10,000 before we go to 30,000 and we
Yeah.
waste so much more money, but figure out the sales side of it first. I think it's smart.
Yeah, and another thing is when you are doing those ads, there's a difference between just casting a net and just trying to bring in any patient versus bringing in patients that are interested in certain things because
Yep.
it's so much easier on a team to treat a patient that already knows what they want. They just need to feel comfortable with the provider that's going to provide that treatment than it is, to just have this influx of all these patients, which is great, but just to have all these influx of patients that are just showing up, for, just we're here to provide general dentistry and take care of people, but it is nice when people are already coming ready to move forward, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
One variable you had though, so tell me how this plays out, is you've been in that area, like you're established in that area. So as you're getting closer to opening, so for me, that's the variable, right? It's like, how much does that play into it? Are you actually able to get patients from that because people know you and they're like, oh, this is a new project? Or is this just like brand new? Nobody's going to know you off the street. As you're getting closer to it, do you sense some momentum just because you're from that area?
Yeah, and working with Studio 88 and creating that landing page where we were able to create a priority list for when people did find out that I was no longer with the group, it gave them a place to go to, put their information in and allow us to then be able to provide updates on where the practice was and to be able to reach out as we get closer to scheduling. So we've got a great response from that. And I think it'll get better as we get closer to opening and there's a little bit of buzz around it finally getting open. I think it's going to be a big deal. I've had some people that, this new practice is actually very close to where I was an associate for 5 years when I first moved to South Carolina. So some of the people that I actually worked with at that practice down in that area, eventually rode by and noticed the sign that we put up. So it's exciting to hear from old friends and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing some familiar faces.
Hey friends, I just want to give some love to Net32 for supporting this episode. If you're a practice owner like me, you know the back end of running a dental office isn't always sexy, but it is necessary. Net32 is an online marketplace where you can compare brands, vendors, and prices all in one place. That means you're not overpaying or wasting time. And when you're building a startup or juggling multiple practices, every dollar and every minute matters. I've used Net32 and it's honestly made a huge difference. Check them out at net32.com/the making of. And now let's get back to the show. Going back to the ad spend, Josh, or I guess just the ads in general. So, Rich, you've already talked about targeted ads, which is
Mhm.
what I also, if we're going to spend the money, you want to make sure it's worth the ROI, right? Do you, or I guess not do you, what is the process of designing the content? How much of the client is involved in that, in that process? And then how do you decide how to break up the $5,000 a month? Like, where do the buckets go? But mostly, like, how much of the client's input is taken into consideration when putting out these ads?
Yeah, these are great questions. The first one I'll tell you is the way Google is set up, Meta, like Instagram, Facebook, you can have way more control over the content, the photos, the video, the copy. Google, the way they function is you've almost got like these three different categories, and they want you to dump 6 to 8 pieces of content in it. And then they want the freedom to be able to mix and match all the content to kind of dial into what people are going to click on the most. And so Google, we almost have to think of like Google as a very predictable direct response marketing. So you want to almost play in their lane. If you're thinking general dentistry new patients right now around the country, your acquisition cost is probably $275 to $350 on Google to get those. So, if you said, hey, I want to put $1,000, and this is some of the disconnect too, is like, okay, let me put $1,000 in a Google campaign and you're expecting 10 new patients a month. And I'm like, that doesn't, like, we just reverse engineer that. Okay, let's say it's $300 to get a new patient. If you give me 1,000, you're going to get three. That's how that goes. Specialty targeted campaigns are great. What people really have to understand is that acquisition cost goes way up. So for dental implants, I mean, to run a campaign, like if you said right now, I want to run an effective dental implant campaign, I'm like, you're probably at base minimum 3,500 a month, but 5,000 would be a better investment. That's going to get you enough. It opens up the funnel at the top with enough interest that then converts the phone calls. And Rich, you know this with dental implants, it's like the vetting process of the team. I mean, are they even financially qualified? Do they even financially understand what this investment is before
Yeah.
they get chair side with you for a consult? So you're sorting through those, but that, if you were to invest $5,000 in implants, you're probably looking at a $650 to $800 acquisition cost to get them in. But a lot of times, a single implant, is that worth it? Yeah. And a lot of times it leads to even more treatment. The surgical, so then go all the way up to like full mouth restoration, where you're looking at a $50,000 plus treatment plan. We had a consult cost of $575. So it costs 575 bucks to get them in the chair for a consult, which is a really low rate. The national average for that is probably more like 1,200. So we had a really great dialed in campaign there. But again, like you're minimally at $10,000 to create the volume to get that. So new patients, I mean, I actually right now I think the minimum we'll go on a new patient campaign is 1,500 a month because the dentist, the doctor, they've got to feel it working. And for less than that, it just okay, you get one or two new patients a month. A lot of times you don't even feel that. You don't even see that. And then if you went up to like Invisalign or maybe some cosmetic stuff, you're $3,000 a month, implants 5,000, full mouth surgical stuff, you're more like a $10,000 base.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those where sometimes it's beneficial to actually have a clear choice or affordable dentures in your area
Yeah.
because
Yep.
they're spending all that money on marketing as well. Where they have their things dialed in is that they have their vetting processes and financials all set up. And I think that's where they compete the best. So you're almost better off if the patient has a consult there first, and then there's something they didn't like about it, or they're told that there's different providers rotating through. They might not already always see the same doctor, and then they end up finding somebody like you because they saw an ad and they come in much more prepared. But that's where we lost a lot of our leads, was that we didn't have our systems in place as far as having those financial conversations over the phone when we did some heavy spend marketing on all on X.
You're 100% right. Clear Choice, they have got the sales part down. They're a
Yeah.
sales organization. So then when they know they go put $30,000 a month into a campaign, they're not throwing it away. People think that and they think, oh my gosh, that's outrageous. They're doing that because they're getting a 6x return on that. Easy. But they've got the sales process down. A lot of times a GP goes into the implant space, even with a good budget, the team's answering the phone like a normal GP patient, and it just doesn't work like that. It's like it's almost got to be somebody else, different set of systems. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of time, a lot of empty spots in the schedule.
Yeah.
Uh, Are Rich's ads already live, Josh?
No.
No, because
Mm.
I think we're a little ways away from getting the site. I think in the next couple of weeks, getting the site launched. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think 2 weeks is the goal.
Gotcha. So 2 weeks is the goal. And I love, Rich, that you mentioned you have to have your team in place to know the systems, to know what scripts to use to close those cases. So when you go live, or like, how do you balance that, the timing of it all with hiring, training, ad spend, and then opening date? There's like so many balls
Yeah,
to juggle.
it's definitely a juggling act, and there's going to be some bumps for sure. That's just how it is. But we're going to have our front desk start. We have one front desk person starting in about a week and a half. So it'll be a
Oh,
full
wow.
month out from when we start seeing patients. And that's basically to get them in learning the practice management software, and then learning some of the systems that we've put in place to work with our practice management software that we talked about on a previous episode. But like, when these conversations come up, what's going on for those missed calls? Are those calls getting answered? Yes, we have a service that's going to answer them. How far do those conversations go before the patient will then be directed to either go to the website or call back at another time? Like, how far do those automated services get us? From a financing standpoint, what are our third-party financial arrangements that we can offer to patients when we're presenting these treatment plans? What does our in-house membership plan look like? How does that compare, and how do we bring that up within the software so that we can compare their in-network pricing, our UCR fees, our membership plan, so that we can create different options for the patient to see them through on getting the treatment that they want, that they need. We're working with dental warranty. What is dental warranty? How does that work with the treatment that we're providing? What is the charge on that? What does that cover? What are those conversations? So it's so much knowing, like, a lot of what we do in dentistry seems very complex, but we have specific tools to address what we need to do. And so I think that's where experience comes into play is you vet these different companies and see what they're providing and what problem are they solving or what solution are they providing to certain things that you've been able to experience. And then you choose them and you decide to go with them, but then you have to coach your team up on how to use them the best way. And I think that, even once we do get open and we start seeing patients, setting aside time weekly to go over these things and discuss verbiage and what those conversations look like just are so important, because you can't be treating patients all day and then expect your team to solve all these things, especially if they're young and they haven't had a lot of dental experience or come from an office that was, drill, fill, bill, see you later, just did that type of dentistry all day long. If you want to provide an elevated experience and provide elevated services, there's a lot that goes into that. And you have to compartmentalize and set aside the time that's needed for the training and the coaching, or you're not going to get the results that you expect.
I love that. I love that. And Josh, since you have worked with so many practices from across the country, it are you seeing the same thing? Like, can you tell what like the high achieving offices, the ones that are getting the most bang for their buck are doing that that is making such a big change in the CAC?
Yeah, I think and Rich is doing this too, but I think a lot of it is this intangible stuff that you don't think of. And the ones, man, where like ad spends work the best, I'll tell you, I mean, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but like the building was designed well. The space looks really nice. It's those types of things. I think anymore, especially with startups, people don't want this disconnected experience where they see something really polished online, but then they're showing up into something where the customer service doesn't match, the interior doesn't match. And so, I don't know, sometimes you can get on Facebook groups and people can criticize that, like these practices and spas and all this stuff. But there's really something to that with human psychology. And it just, at every step, if you're showing, I'm really paying attention to this and we're doing it for you intentionally, from the landscaping to the way they're pulling in the parking lot, the way they're greeted, the scrubs or whatever everybody's wearing, all that, it's all the pieces coming together. And the best startups, the most successful startups, I think they're great. I don't know, what is it, like a puzzle? Like they know how to put all the puzzle pieces together. And I'm seeing the same thing, Rich, with you. I mean, even just the intentionality around the landscaping, and obviously the building is beautiful. So it's all that. It all pays off. It's all marketing. It really is.
Yeah, I even selected trees that turn yellow in the fall
See?
specifically for the logo.
See?
For the logo.
Yeah. That's so
Um,
smart.
but yeah, I think all those things, nothing is, there's a saying, I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's like nothing is life or death, but everything's important, even the little things.
Yeah.
It's just attention to detail just goes such a long way. And it's funny you brought up the website and the pictures being better than the actual experience. That's what I love about TripAdvisor. Like, I love how there's the
Yeah.
hotel pictures and then there's also the actual
The user
visitor,
pictures.
the
Yeah.
user pictures.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts or questions or anything that we haven't discussed by either of you?
I would love to ask a question to both of you. We plan on seeing our first patients in July, and it's really hot and really sticky down here. And as you know, when you open a new building, there's always a punch list, and there's things that even though you're technically in the space, there's always some stuff that could look a little bit nicer. We were looking at doing a grand opening, but pushing that grand opening off until maybe the fall, like September, October. What are you guys' thoughts on that? And have you done a grand opening in the past?
I love that idea. I think trying to coordinate a grand opening when you're still very new, because there's gonna be kinks no matter how many times you've done this and how detail oriented Rich obviously is. There are always kinks, and I like to iron out those kinks. And I even have like Studio 88 come out like months after we open too. So I love that idea. I think is it's a great way to build the hype up too. Like, hey, like our grand opening is X amount of time away so that people have it in their heads that it's coming. It's just not yet. Like you're building suspense almost. What is Evelina Smiles going to be about? And I think that I hate to sweat. so so I think people are more inclined to go to places if it's
Yeah.
not like balls hot.
Yeah.
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 So
Sorry.
did you wait to have your content session then? Like,
Yeah, we
About
oh,
2 months after maybe
it was the
opening.
2 to 3 months
Yeah.
after.
oh, okay.
Actually, for our second location, so for the first location, Studio 88 came out a couple months after I opened. But for Roseville, I don't know if you remember, Josh, but you guys were there before we
Yeah.
like opened.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have some furniture. Literally the night before, I was like buying stuff to decorate the office.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that. Like that was a very high stress situation. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can
Rich,
wait.
we're in the opposite situation because we get in our building, we're gonna get the keys the end of October. Our team is gonna get in there the beginning of November, but Ohio gets cold, and we've got these beautiful garage doors on the back of our headquarters that open up and look over a retention pond and a wooded area. And so we're gonna pull our grand opening into the spring. We're gonna get one of those awesome Ohio spring weeks and do grand opening that way. So I also think
Nice.
it's a little bit of an attention strategy. I actually like it. You're going to get a ton of attention with starting up, even the content session, all that stuff. You kind of just leverage it for attention. But maybe about 6 months into it, as the attention starts to wane, now you've got this grand opening and you're
Mhm.
you're kind of boosting it back up again. So I like it from a staggered standpoint for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I was going back and forth with that because there's so many names. Like there's ribbon cutting, there's
Yeah.
blessing the building, there's breaking ground, there's
Yeah.
grand opening. Like, yeah, so many different things.
Yep.
Cool. That answered my second question then is yeah, maybe give it a few months while we're in and feeling comfortable in the space and living in it before we
Yeah.
schedule that content session.
I can't wait to see your
Yeah.
grand opening and your 10th session. It's going to be sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Rich,
excited.
I go back and forth on content. Like if it was me, I'm gonna probably do it 30 days after opening because I want the photos. The sooner
Okay.
those photos and all that stuff gets up on the website, it just is gonna drive the effect of, you'll literally see it jump 30% of website
Okay.
conversions. But also it's like you don't want it to be the source of stress and you're buying furniture the night or you're buying
Yeah.
decorations the night before either. So it's like that's a really kind of a balancing act too.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Well, so good to see you both. I'm
Yeah, you
excited.
too.
I'm excited to see what Studio 88 has in store for Evelina Smiles. And if you guys are listening and you have specific questions about marketing, branding, logo, make sure to reach out to Josh at Studio 88 and make sure to tune in to the making of Evelina Smiles as we've been documenting Dr. Rich's story week by week. More behind the scenes to come, and have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thank you guys.
See ya.
See
See
you.
ya.